Welcome to March 13th, Critical Thinking Thursday. Get your thinking caps on. We're going to run through a cognitive bias today. This one, going to need you to imagine again that you're back in World War II. You have the task of determining how to armor the airplanes. So planes are coming back from battle. You see bullet holes scattered across the wings and the fuselage. What do? First instinct is to reinforce those areas that got hit. Well, not so fast, because today we're talking about the survivorship bias, a very sneaky cognitive trap that distorts our thinking about what we should do or what has led to success. The story at the beginning is a real story. The military studied the airplanes that came back from missions. They mapped out the areas most often hit by enemy fire. And their first instinct was to add more armor where they saw the most damage. But then Abraham Wald, a statistician, pointed out a crucial flaw. They were only looking at the planes that survived. What about the ones that didn't return? Turns out they most likely took damage in areas that were not covered in bullet holes, like the engine or the cockpit. So the real solution was to reinforce the areas without the bullet holes, because those were the ones that, when hit, meant the plane didn't make it back. This is survivorship bias, focusing only on what made it while ignoring the unseen failures. So how does this affect us? We're going to cover 4 different areas that we might run into this. First, in business. This is really common in a lot of the business books that tell you how to do things. So you study successful companies and then you say, do what they did. The problem is that ignores the thousands of companies that failed. What about the startups that did the same thing and they still collapsed? So books like Good to Great have nice messages in them, and they tend to be based on survivorship bias. So keep that in mind. How about self-improvement? We hear about how high achievers, it's all about hard work and persistence, but we don't hear from those that worked just as hard and didn't succeed. In education, we read the biographies of people that dropped out and made it big, but forget that for every Steve Jobs, there are thousands who dropped out and struggled. And finally, in dentistry, you're doing exams on patients and you notice that after 5, 10, 15 years, all of the crowns of a certain type look amazing. So you're thinking, well, this is the best crown, the best material that I've ever seen. Well, the problem there, now you should know it, you're only seeing the people who came back. What about the people that didn't come back? What about the ones that the crown broke and they went somewhere else? Where in your life are you only looking at the survivors? And what's missing from the full picture? Challenge your perspective. Take a concerted effort to look at the failures as well as the successes to determine the true patterns that may exist. And finally, before blindly following what worked, ask, what aren't we seeing? You'll often find some real insights there. Hope you enjoyed this one. See you tomorrow.